All right, so welcome to our weekly workshop. So for the last several weeks, we've been talking about capture the flag. And we started with an introduction to the Cloud CTF platform and how to use it. And then we spent the last several weeks talking about different types of challenges and how to approach those different types of challenges. And this week, we're going to come back to the platform itself. And we're going to talk about regular expressions. And if that doesn't mean anything to you right now, that's great, because you're going to learn what regular expressions are soon. And regular expressions are a very widely used tool by computer science type people. We are going to talk about a very limited use case of regular expressions. So that very limited use case is, we're going to look at them in the context of the Cloud CTF platform. And I think you'll see from this particular use case that these could be used in a lot of different contexts, right? So pretty useful tool, and it should all make sense here in a few minutes. We're absolutely not going to become experts at regular expressions during this session, but you're going to learn enough that you could use them as you're developing CTF challenges. And so again, this is for use as, let me get my laser pointer going here. This is for use as a CTF admin, not a player. So this particular session is not going to help you solve CTF challenges at all. It's going to help you as a CTF admin when you're creating or editing challenges to make them more solvable, and makes it a little bit better experience for the player. Okay, so just as a reminder, we have a CTF that you can use, solve challenges along the way as we do these workshops. And here's the URL. So if you aren't already registered, you can go to vacker.io/weekly workshop and self-register and solve CTF challenges. These challenges change week to week as we update things in preparation for these workshops. So I added a couple of things today, just because I'm going to use them as an example when I talk about regular expressions. Okay, so here's the high-level intro. And again, this will become less mysterious as I start giving you examples. So regular expressions are a tool for character matching, used to search for character sequences in a file or a block of text. And they're much more forgiving than searching for a specific string of characters. So there are tools in Linux like the grep command, where you can grep for strings in a text file, for example. And grep is really powerful if you're looking for a specific string and you don't know what a regular expression is. Then you can search for strings all day long, and if the string is in there, you can find them. But what you can't search for are like modified versions of strings, an example might be, you want to search for social security numbers in a large file, and for you to do a search that enumerates every possible social security number, that's a 10-digit number. That's a lot of character combinations, right? 10 to the 10, I guess. 10 characters and 10 possible 10 digits, 10 possible characters, 10 to the 10. More than that even, I don't know, it's a lot. So instead, what you could use a single regular expression to search for social security numbers, any possible social security number. And I'm not going to show you how to do that, but that's the kind of use case you could use these in. And you can have them do things like you can have them ignore case, right? So if you're looking for a string, and it might be at the beginning of a sentence, so in some cases the string might be capitalized, some cases the string might not be capitalized, you can have your regular expression ignore case. You can have it match only portions of a string, right? So you could have a regular expression that matches a few characters that might be in a longer bit of text. You can make them ignore spaces. You can do all kinds of crazy things with regular expressions, and we're just going to sort of dip our toe in. We're going to dip our toe in as we look at how they can be used in our Cloud CTF platform. And so to kind of set this up, I want to show this particular challenge in our weekly workshop CTF. It's in the trivia category, and it's called Sage of Monticello. And so I'm going to go to my CTF and I'm going to log in here. I'm all registered, so I just need to log in. And I'm going to go to the trivia category. And here's this trivia challenge, the Sage of Monticello. And here's the question, right? Who was the third president of the United States? Well, everybody knows that the third president of the United States was Jefferson, right? So Jefferson. So I put that in. That's obviously the flag. And it says the given flag is not correct. Well, that's odd. I know that's who it is, right? Maybe I need to put in the whole name. Thomas Jefferson. Okay, that's surely the flag. Well, that's not it either. All right, well, what could it be? Well, I guess I didn't capitalize this stuff, so maybe I need to put in Thomas Jefferson. And that's not correct either. So I'm sure that's the answer, but I'm not getting the right flag. And when students do capture the flag, when we host a lot of capture the flags here in the Cyber Range, and students are trying to solve challenges like this, and they say, I know this is the answer, and they come up to us and they say, I know this is the answer, but it's not giving me the right, it's not telling me it's the right answer. So in this kind of a situation, of course the answer is Thomas Jefferson, and the way I've configured the flag in here, it's not accepting the answers that I'm typing in, even though they're the correct answers. And if I go in here and edit the challenge, so this one I didn't put a space in the middle, right? So that's why it's not taking this one. So if I look at the way I did this, and this is the way lots of new CTF challenge creators do things like this, right? I put in the name of the challenge, I put in the description, I give it some points, and then I say, well, the answer is Thomas Jefferson, and that's a string, and so everybody should do this like I would do it. They should put in, and this is kind of a silly example because this, most students would probably do this the first time, but in a lot of cases you have some answer, and you think, well, of course this is the answer, but maybe different forms of the answer would also be correct. So what I want to do is I want all different forms of the answer to be correct, so that the student has a good experience, right? I want them to put in an answer, and if that answer is correct, I don't want them to have to change the case or add a space or do crazy stuff until they make the flag match what I think the flag should be, right? I want to use something that they will match right away. Okay, well, how do I do that? Well, one way I could do that is I could just add flags, right? I could add another one where Thomas Jefferson is not upper, it's not capitalized. And I could add another one where I just have it say Jefferson. But then if I do that, I have to add another one where it's just lowercase. And if I did this, and I went back to answer this thing again, there's this, I'm not sure if I showed you this when we talked about creating our CTF challenges before, but there's a test button. So as the admin of the CTF, you have this test feature where you can test your flags. And so now here's my possible flags. And in order to get the answer right, the student only has to match one of these. So now if I type in Thomas Jefferson, okay, it matches that first thing, so I would get it right. And then the next one is, I could do this, and now it matches the second one, right? You sort of get the idea. So I could put in a bunch of different strings. I could sort of try to predict everything that the student might put in, and that would get me somewhere, right? The other thing I could do is obviously I could use regular expressions, and that's what we're going to do. So so this string flag matches Thomas Jefferson exactly. It doesn't match any of these other possible answers, which these are all, I would say these are all sort of correct, right? Okay, so all right, sorry, I'm jumping around here. Okay, so let's talk about regular expressions for a minute, and then I'm going to show you how we would put together this particular Thomas Jefferson flag as a regular expression, and then we'll talk about some gotchas, some things that you could do wrong that will make your regular expression not work properly. All right, here we go. So the Cloud CTF regex format is this, right? So it's a slash, this is a /, and then the regex, and then the /, and then what's called modifiers. Okay, and this is a particular regex format, and I'll show you a place where you can test your regular expressions using this format. So some common modifiers are things like an I to ignore case, right? Make my regular expression case insensitive. So if I wanted to ignore case, then after the second /, I would put a lowercase I, and that's going to make my regular expression case insensitive. So whether it's uppercase or lowercase, it doesn't matter. It's going to be correct. And then I almost always include a G in here because I want that's a global search. So that's going to search the entire string that was entered and try to find this regex in that whole block of text. It doesn't expect it to be like right at the beginning. It can be anywhere in that block of text. So these are the most common modifiers you'll see: a lowercase I for case insensitive, and a global search means it searches the entire data input to try to find a case of this regular expression. Okay, in a regular expression, the regex itself is just a string of characters, except you can add some other stuff in here that can be useful. Like a dot can represent any character. So if I had something like, well, yeah, so I'm going to pull up a regex tester here and show you how you could use a dot. And the regex tester, I'm going to go to the Googles, and I'm going to type in regex tester. And this is, so anytime I want to test my regular expressions when I'm doing CTF stuff, I never remember what this website is, but I just go to the Googles and I type in regex tester, and this is always the very first answer, at least for me. And so let's say I wanted to have a regular expression that matched the word moss, right? Okay, it's going to match moss, and this is my regular expression. It's just a string of characters, and here's my modifiers. So I don't care about this global line thing, but I'm gonna put in the G and the I. So again, I almost always put in the G and the I, and so my test string here is I'm going to put in moss, and I get one match. And okay, so it matches, right? So this is a correct regular expression if I wanted to match the string moss. Well, what if I wanted to match any string that was an M with another character and then two S's? Well, moss still matches, but I could also match like mess or mass, right? That matches. If I added another character in here, it would. Oh, is a dot like any number of characters? That's not what I expected to happen. But so that this matches, multiple different things, right? And so that can be useful when you're creating your regular expressions. A slash, a backslash, or an S matches a space. So if you have, and we'll use this in our Thomas Jefferson example, matches a space, and if I have a regex and a plus, then I can match one or more of those things. And if I have a regex and a star, then it's going to match 0 or more of those things. And so here's some examples, right? Dot plus, one or more of any character. A plus, one or more A's. Slash S with a star, that's going to match 0 or more spaces. Backslash S with a star, 0 or more spaces. And these can become arbitrarily complicated. Okay, so let's fix our Thomas Jefferson problem here. And this is that regex tester I just showed you. So here, if I use this regular expression, right, I have a /, then Thomas, and then \S and a star. So that means 0 or more spaces. And then Jefferson, and then a slash, and then case insensitive and a global search. That's going to match all these possible answers. Uppercase Thomas, uppercase Jefferson, lowercase Thomas, lowercase Jefferson with space in between. Uppercase Thomas, uppercase Jefferson without a space. Uppercase Thomas, lowercase Jefferson without a space. I mean, any combination of upper and lowercase would work. Any combination of spaces between the words would work. And so this would be a very forgiving, it still expects to see the correct answer, right? It still expects to see Thomas and Jefferson, but it's very forgiving. So if the student puts in, any of these combinations of characters, they're going to get the right answer. And that's usually how I want my CTF to function, right? And this is a thing that, everybody's guilty of this. I'm guilty of putting in, in my early CTF challenge writing days, I would put in 4 regexes and I would end up with something like this, right? And that's just, this is just kind of, I don't know, it's not very useful. So I'm going to delete all these old flags and I'm going to add a text flag and I'm going to switch the type here to regex. So I'm not going to put in a string. You got to make sure you specify that it's a regular expression, not a string. And then I'm going to put in my thing here, Thomas \S star for the 0 or more spaces, Jefferson slash, and then IG, that's lowercase I is case insensitive, lowercase g is global search. And so now I confirm this. Now you'll see that when I turn on my tester, oops, I'm going to the wrong challenge here. Here's the tester, Sage of Monticello. Okay, here's the new regex that I put in. So now if I type in Thomas Jefferson, as long as I spell it right. Okay, now I get, that's correct, right? It's also correct if I didn't use uppercase, right? That's correct. It's also correct if I use 0 or more spaces, right? So 0 spaces. Okay, it's got to have it's got to have both Thomas and Jefferson. I can't just put in Jefferson. But this gets me where I want to be, right? If I want to make this even more forgiving, I mean, you can imagine, maybe I don't, maybe I just want to take in the word, maybe I just need a last name in order for this to be considered to be correct, right? So in that way, now if I just put in, if I go to my tester here, now it's only going to try to match Jefferson and it's going to do a global search. So if I were to put in Thomas Jefferson, that would match, right? Because it contains the word Jefferson, but it does, but the Thomas part is completely superfluous. Or if I had this situation where my flag format was something like this, where the flags were they had flag and then an open curly brace and then the flag and then a closed curly brace. Well, I don't need I should not, when I'm creating my CTF challenges, I should not put the flag format in there. All I want to match is the actual thing within the curly braces, because I want my matching system to match the flag, not the flag format. But again, if I spell Jefferson wrong, that's going to be the wrong answer, right? So I'm still accepting things that are correct and I'm rejecting things that are incorrect, but I'm just being much more forgiving about what I'll take and what I won't take. And that's the beauty of regular expressions. Okay, so that was the quick and dirty. Any questions on that? I got another slide on gotchas, but first I'm going to see if there's any questions on that. Just this is super useful. I would suggest that you completely get rid of string answers in your CTF challenge flags, that you only use regular expressions, and this is enough to get you about 90% of the way. Here are the gotchas. So these are the things that will make you pull your hair out and think that regular expressions are unusable, but they're really not. You just have to know that there are some gotchas. The primary gotcha is that there are special characters that have to be escaped. So for example, if I have a flag that looks something like this, right? This has dollar signs in it. And if I were to put this in as a regular expression, my regex matcher would reject that as the actual, as the flag. And I'll show you this here. So this one, this is the flag. So this tells me this is the flag, right? So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm gonna go to my tester. And here it is, right? That's the regular expression. It's got that particular, it's got that specific string, and it's got this, the format is in there properly. But I put that in, and it says it's incorrect. Well, if I was a newbie regular expression creator and I did this, I would be scratching my head, right? I would say, why does that not match? Because it obviously is the same. Well, the reason it doesn't match is because it's got special characters in it, and these special characters need to be escaped using a backslash character because they have some other specific meaning in the language of regular expressions. That's most of the escaping is around things that have specific meaning within regular expressions. And so if you're going to try to match those things, then you have to escape them using a backslash. And this whole notion of escaping things is another sort of computer science-ism. You see it a lot in computer science in different contexts, and regular expressions is one context in which you need to escape things. And the escape character is almost always the backslash character. So here, this is the correct regular expression. I have to escape the dollar signs. So if I change my flag here to do it the right way, all I got to do is escape these two dollar signs. And I confirm. I know it looks kind of funny, but it's going to work. Trust me. Now, if I put in, this is the flag, even though it doesn't look the same, it's going to match properly because I've escaped the dollar sign. So when I escape it, it means match this. Don't treat that as a part of the regular expression language. Okay, and so the other sort of gotcha is not all special characters need to be escaped. Right, so I'm not escaping the underscores. If I was looking at this, I would say, well, an underscore is a regular expression. Or I'm sorry, an underscore is a special character. I would think that, but underscores don't need to be escaped. In fact, if you did escape the underscores, it wouldn't work because you're not supposed to escape underscores. Here are some, most, not all probably, but here are the common special characters that you need to escape. The star character, the dot, any kind of bracket, the open close parens, open close bracket, the plus, the sharp, I guess hashtag. Now they call it a hashtag. Oglethorpe, I think, is a real word for that. These all need to be escaped. There's probably other stuff that needs to be escaped too. One problem with regular expressions is that there are a couple of different regular expression formats or languages, and each one of them has a different set of special characters that need to be escaped, which is, it's a whole long story, but in the context of the Cloud CTF regular expression language, these all need to be escaped along with the dollar sign. And here's the true test, right? If you're not sure, then you just have to test it, right? You should always test your regular expressions against your flags, and that's why we have this tester thing in here. So you go to the challenge when you're creating your challenges. You go to the challenge, you have your tester, and you can test flags all day long without actually solving the challenge, right? We put that in here because used to be you would say, okay, I'm going to test my flag, and I'd put in one thing, and if that was the right thing, then the flag was, the challenge was now solved, and me as the administrator, I couldn't even test another flag, right? So we added this testing functionality. So we always pretty robustly test our flags as we create these challenges. Okay, and here's another hint / gotcha. Some flags are in a format like this, right? It'll be, I mentioned this before, you'll have flag, and then you have a curly brace, and then you'll have the flag in there, and then you have a closed curly brace. So it might look something like this. Don't use this don't put the flag format in there, put the actual flag in there. And because really what you want to match is this, right? And this, and we always get, this is another question we get as CTF challenge authors, students come up and say, well, if the flag has the flag word with brackets, do I need to put that in as the flag or not? And the answer is, it doesn't matter. You put that in or not. If you put it in, it's going to get discarded because all I'm looking for is this bit, right? And again, this is about making the experience as straightforward for the player as possible. You don't want them to have the right answer, but figure out what flag format you're looking for. You want them to have the right answer, put in the right answer, and get credit for it right away. And that is it, I think. Okay, so that was a 30,000-foot view of regular expressions, but it's honestly, it's probably about 90% of what you need to know in order to use these in your Cloud CTF. So I would encourage you to never put another string literal in a CTF challenge as the answer. Put it in as a regular expression when you're creating your CTF challenges. And what I just showed you will help you create 90% of those, maybe even 95% of those regular expressions. And then for the ones that this didn't cover, you might have to do a little bit of research on the interwebs, but you'll learn something new about regular expressions when you do that. And we have lots of Cloud CTF resources for teachers. We have the knowledge base. We have YouTube videos going back for years, including the last half dozen or so workshops. And we have our customer support team. So if you have a question and you don't know what to do, even if it's a regular expression question, you can go to our customer support team and ask them, and they're going to escalate it to the person who can answer your question.